Hello and welcome back. In the last section, we've gone ahead and created right-hand section of our card component when it's obviously not signed in. And the next thing is we're going to go ahead and get all our card items from our local storage and then populate them here. So in order to do that, let's go ahead and do a couple of things inside of our card component. And essentially what I'm going to do here is I'm going to import two important hooks. One is use state to maintain this card state, and other one is use effect. And this, I'm going to use the use effect hook to run every time this component gets rendered. Okay, and the way I do it is by saying use effect, and I'm going to give it a callback function here, and this is going to run only once. All right, super. And inside of here, I'm going to define a method. All right, and let's see, this is going to be a method called init, and this is going to be a simple arrow function, and this is going to be again an async function right here. And then after this, I'm going to define a state variable, and that's going to be called items, and I'm going to say set items, or maybe dishes. That would be better in my opinion. Dishes, and set dishes. Okay, and this is going to have a use state. Use state. This is going to use the use state hook, initialized to an empty array. And inside of this init method now, I'm going to go ahead and call the getCard function. So if you look here back to our card handlers, we have a getCard function, which essentially gives us an array of all the dishes that are in our local storage. First, let me go ahead and import that. I'm going to say getCard, and over here I'm going to say, I'll do a try catch because it involves async await syntax. So the first thing is, let's go ahead and get the dishes. All right, I'm going to say const items is equal to await getCard. Okay, super. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to set the dishes, these items, to the dishes state variable here. Okay, so I'm going to say set dishes with the items value, and I think we're done here essentially. Yeah, and over here I can go ahead and just say log the error in case there is an error. All right, super. So we have the init statement here. I'm going to go ahead and call the init in here. Okay, all right. So we have the items or the dishes populated with all our card contents, and now we can essentially go ahead and use them in our rendering. Okay, going back over to the render component or render card method in here, I'm going to shift this to the right side, because that way it's easier to essentially see the changes in the left side. Alright, so inside of here I'm going to define another row. Okay, and that's going to say essentially I'll have multiple card items, so I would need a row. Alright, and each of those rows will again contain columns which represent a particular dish item. Over here I'll just say row and justify content. I'm going to say start because I want them to be pushed to the start, because if there are multiple items, it actually makes good usage of the space there. Okay, so let's say start. Okay, tab, and yeah, we should be good here. And I'm going to say Control X here, paste it in here. Okay, super. And for this one, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go right about the return statement and define a new method, okay, about the render card, and this is going to be called display. Let's call it show card. Const show card, and this is going to be an arrow function, and this is going to return some JSX code here. In order to show the card right now, I will be using a different kind of component. We've used the bootstrap card, so we also had a different set of cards used for our catalog component. So in here as well, we'll have a slightly different card component, and let's see what we can do with that. Okay, so in here, go over to the UI folder and create a new folder. I'm going to call it menu card. I could have called it the checkout card actually, but that's okay. So inside of this, I'm going to create a presentational component with the same name, menu card.js, and let me go ahead and copy some code here from another place, and I'll also go ahead and explain what it is trying to do. So let's enlarge this for a moment. Okay, so this is essentially a variation of the card that we've been using all along, but it has kind of 3 buttons actually. One to increment the count of the dish, other one to decrement, and I think the other one was to actually remove the content from our card. And then we have the standard render card here. Yeah, so this again is nothing different from the regular card content, right? Essentially the description, the name, the quantity, obviously you would need that, the price, and the total as well, I think, if I'm correct. This is the price only. Okay, so it'll display the name, the quantity, and the price. Okay, and the controls here, which are to the minus sign, the plus sign, to increment, and also to delete the dish. Okay, all right. So with this in place, what I'm going to do here is, I think we also have a URL to the photo, right, which is the photo of the dish, right, and we'll be passing a dish here as a prop, by the way. So we pass a dish, and we also have multiple methods to update the cart and remove the dish from the cart. Okay, so let's go ahead and import the server URL. I think if you recall, we had this in our environment, which is this particular base URL. Okay, and we also have that inside of config, right? This is the API base URL. That's what we need. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and copy this, go back to the menu card, copy this server URL, and then in place of server URL, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that and put the API base URL. I'm going to go up here, import that particular constant from, I think it's one level above, another level above, I think another level above, and config /config. Yep, that's the one. Alright, so we should be good in here right now. And we also have a styling associated with this, so I'm going to go ahead and create a new file for this, and I'm going to say menu card.css. okay, and I think it's only imported right now, just that, I don't know, it was not present before. And I'm going to go ahead and copy the styling as well. Pretty straightforward actually, and we can also go ahead and explore what's inside. So essentially it defines the controls and, you know, the stuff for menu card and all that stuff. So, and it uses all this flex. I think it uses flex here. Yeah, it does use for the quantity. It uses the color, margin top, box sizing is bar to box. Don't think we need this right now because you've set it at the app level, right? So we not need that. Anyway, and justify corner of center. Okay, super. So let's go over to, let's save this, and we will head over to the card component, import this particular menu card from our UI component. You can say import menu card, all right, from one level above into the UI folder, and I'm going to head over to the menu card and folder, and then get the menu card component from here. Okay, so it's compiling. Hopefully it's not going to give us any errors. Super. So it says dishes is assigned, not a problem. And next, what we're going to do here is define a new method to show the card. Okay, and we already have that here, and we just have to see what we can actually put there. So inside of the show card, what I'm going to do is I'm going to essentially map over the dishes array and present each of the dishes as a menu card. So let's head over here, and I'm going to make sure I use the concise syntax here, not without the return statement. Okay, and over here inside of a React fragment, I'm going to map over the dishes array. Let's say dishes.map, and I will get an item. I'll get an individual dish, right? This is going to have a function body, and that's going to say it's going to return a div, right? So let's get rid of this longer syntax. We'll use the concise syntax because there is a single return statement, and this is going to return a div that says it's going to be a column, because we want to represent each dish as a column, right? And that's going to be column LG4, call of empty of 5 here. I think that's about it. Let's see what we can do with this. I'm not sure that's working, so let's go ahead and actually create this div manually. Div class name, and this is going to be our class name, call LG4, call MD5. Okay, let's go ahead and close this. Alright, so inside of this class, what I'm going to do here, I also need to keep the key because it's an iterable data structure. Key is equal to, it's going to be again dish dot underscore id. Okay, and inside of here, I'm going to represent the dish in the form of a menu card. Okay, I'm going to essentially call menu card component, and let's see what menu card accepts. The menu card takes the dish, right? So we'll have to provide the dish prop here, right? So I'm going to say dish is equal to dish. Okay, I think that's about it. For now, we will not go ahead and keep these methods because we're not ready for that yet. Our first idea is to actually get this rendering happen first, and then from there on we can actually go ahead and do the event handling bit. Yeah. So in here, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this display dishes here, and I'm going to say I'm going to call the show card here. Alright, and I'm not going to save this right now. I'll go ahead and push this here. Alright, so we're getting something here right now, spaced out quite a bit, but eventually that space will be taken up. Let's see if it actually helps to say content center wise, because they're too far away, in my opinion. Yeah, I think this is better, in my opinion. Okay, so if I go ahead and let's say add another thing into my cart, let's say I add this, go back to cart. Yeah, not bad at all right now. We will revisit in case if it feels that it is not looking good at any point in time, but right now this is not bad looking at all. So maybe what we can do here though is empty5 is fine. Yeah, we do have some spacing in here. What about the continue shopping button and the total? We had empty3 in here, so let's make it empty5 as well, just to make sure. Yeah, that's looking much more aligned right now. Okay, so we have the cart component right now, and obviously this is how it looks like right now, and we'll look at the responsive layout at some point in time later, but right now this is the desktop view. Okay, and we can come back and later and look at whether this is actually making sense, or we need to kind of put them closer together and see how the whole thing actually works. All right, super. So let's take a quick pause here, and we'll come back and then do the next activities, which is to essentially give the event handling functionality to our buttons here. Okay, these are the control buttons that we have, and go ahead and give event handling functionality to them. Alright, take a quick break. Alright, see you soon.